Alright guys, welcome back, Strafe here. So today we're going to be going over the current banners to see which ones you should be pulling on. If you're a newer player or you're a returning player, which character should you be pulling for, and which banner should you be drawing from. So let's start from the top here. We have Ashe, Fran, and Balthier banner. So in my post earlier, I rated Ashe and Fran at low priority, and I still agree with that stance. I think Ashe loses a lot because she doesn't have a rework, so she has limited brave hits in the skill 1, and the potency on the skill 2 is also kind of low. She also takes up a lot of buff slots on your team. It's 3 generic buffs for your team, so it's gonna be tough to balance a team around Ashe. She also doesn't heal and she doesn't batter your team either. The paralysis on the EX is nice, but it's a slow recast speed and it's only on one target at a time, so I think Ashe is kind of a niche character. She's not really like plug and play, and you kind of have to build a team around her. She's not a good all-rounder, doesn't heal, doesn't battery. So I kind of think she's still low priority. For Fran, her damage is okay, but it's not the highest damage output. And she doesn't have free skill, unlike most other damage dealers in the game. So she has longevity issues. Her HP plus is okay, but it's AoE focused as well, so she's not so good in single target fights. And the EX ability is split damage. So the first attack and the second attack are both split damage. She doesn't have splash. She doesn't have 100% AoE, so it's kind of tough to keep up the damage. Her debuffs are okay, but they're not super strong potency either. I think it's only like 20-30% percentages in potency. And then she gets range resist down as well, but it's not like 80% defense down like Vanille or 8 can do, or 50% attack down, you know, like Vanille or Lily set on magic attack enemies. So the debuffs are okay, but they're not super strong that I would be pulling for Fran. Balthier doesn't have an EX weapon, so he's tough to make use of. So I wouldn't go for Balthier here. So that's my takeaway from this banner. Should you really pull on this? I would say no. Let's move on to Leo, Galuf, and Lily set. This banner is much better overall. I found Leo to be stronger than I thought initially. I give him middle priority ranking, both him and Galuf. He kind of sways between middle to high, like he's really good on single target. He can carry your team pretty much, but in AoE scenarios, with like 2 or 3 enemies, he's not so good. His shock doesn't get improved at all with the EX plus realizations. So you're gonna see like low potency when you use shock compared to shock plus, which always does like max damage pretty much. And then you pretty much have to focus on one target because he is debuffing only one target at a time, so he doesn't have much flexibility when you're dealing with multiple enemies. But in terms of single target bosses, he's one of the best units in terms of damage, versatility, and party utility. He doesn't bring attack auras, but the debuff that he brings is actually stronger than hitting elemental weakness. It's a 2x modifier, which means it's stronger than elemental weakness, which is only at 1.5 times modifier. So if you bring units that do single target attacks, like King or 8 for example, then they're going to cap out on their damage. It doesn't work on AoE attacks or random attacks. So things like Zack's AoE on the EX ability is not going to work, but Zack's other 2 skills will work. So you'll see Rush Assault doing max damage all the time, like even if the boss is in red zone, thanks to Leo's debuffs. So I think Leo is pretty good. I would definitely go for him if you're a newer player or you're coming back to the game recently. Vayne is no longer available as an option, and neither is Aranea, so Leo is going to be one of the best choices, but again, he's not the best in multi-target scenarios. As for Galuf, he's very strong tank. To me, he's kind of niche, but then again, he isn't, because he can dodge every kind of attack. He can dodge magic attacks too, he just won't counter them, and it's not a guaranteed dodge rate. So it's about 60 or 70% dodge rate if you factor in the buff as well as the summon board evasion passive. And he also gives some good party buffs and auras. So it's a 70% attack aura on allies that have cover, and then you get a 60% generic max brave for the generic buff. His counters are kind of low potency though, and I think that's what holds him back. But his EX is on a fast recast speed, and it does quite a bit of damage as well. So Galuf can be a pretty good tank. He's definitely an option you guys should go for if you don't have Zack or Warrior of Light. But Warrior of Light's kind of falling off right now, so Mainly if you don't have Zac, Bosch, or Celeste, I would definitely go for Galuf here. As for Lily said, there's no EX weapon, so it's really tough to use her in current content, so I wouldn't even pull for her at this moment. This is the triple EX banner. We have Dark Knight, Cecil, Selfie, and Lise. Let's start with Lise here. Her time is kind of past. Even when she did come out, she was kind of weak, and it was tough to make use out of her. She has good longevity because she has free skill with Purification 5 stacks. You can just use Purification and then use your skill 2 for some good splash damage. But she's tough to make use because she doesn't have party auras. She has some generic buffs, but they're not that powerful. They're only about like 20%. So I wouldn't go for Lise here. Selphie is very good in terms of support unit, but she's not all around like Penelo would be, or coming up like Hope would be. She's tough to make use. You really have to pair her with specific characters or specific teams to make use out of aura specifically, because it speeds up the EX recast speed, but not every character is going to benefit from the speed up. And also she doesn't do as much output as other support units, but she gives good auras and buffs to your team. She gives 20% overflow aura at 3 out of 3 ingots. She also gives 50 or 60% max brave aura for your team. She also gives, I think it's 30% attack aura for your team, or 40%, so it's pretty good now. Once she got reworked, they buffed up her attack aura passive, but she's not going to be as consistent as someone like Penelo or Hope, I would say. Some good teammates for Selfie would be like Papa Limo, because for Papa Limo you really have to use 2 abilities and then 1 or 2 HP plus to recharge your EX ability, but with Selfie you can just use 2 abilities, so it cuts down on his downtime quite a bit. Same thing with Yuri. Yuri would normally need 3 abilities and maybe an extra HP plus, but with Selfie you can just use 3 abilities, so it cuts down on a lot of downtime for those units. Even with General Leo right now, he makes a great partner because it's 1 ability and maybe 1 HP plus to recharge his EX, so he's a great partner for Selfie. I would recommend picking her up if you're a newer player, because there's not much support options available. It's only Selfie, and we'll talk about Rosa in a second, that are available if you're new or coming back. So I would definitely pick her up and give her at 3 ingots. For Dark Knight Cecil, he is straightforward damage dealer. I say straightforward because he just deals damage, but he's not really straightforward to play because you have to play around with the launch mechanics as well as his HP. And he's kind of a slow character, but he has high turn rate on the skill 2. So he does take a lot of thinking and predicting to use, but he's straightforward in that all he does is damage for your team, and that's all he provides. There's no other utility, no debuffs besides Dark and Peril down. He's very strong. He can just spam abilities because you recharge both abilities once you use your EX ability, which is much stronger now with EX plus. If you give him 3 ingots, it will attack twice and do splash damage as well. So he's very strong. I wouldn't really recommend him as your main damage dealer right now because, again, he's tricky to use and you have to play him. And he's reliant on 1 element at a time. But the main thing is that he doesn't bring any party utility, so he just does pure damage. And to me, that's not really a good selling point right now. But he is strong. I would give him middle priority if I had to rank him in this month. Now, as for the last banner, these are all repeats. And I wouldn't even go for any of them except for maybe Rosa, but it's not really worth giving Rosa any ingots at this moment because supports like Selfie are around. Penelo just came out. We're going to get Hope very soon. So she's kind of crept a little bit. But again, none of those supports do what Rosa does, which is provide the largest auras in the game. A lot of people are kind of disappointed by Rosa, or they use the Stolo. They never saw a need for Rosa. But what Rosa brings and where she shines is her large Eye Brave aura and Brave regen buff, which is granted at all times to allies. Compared to someone like Penelo, who doesn't buff Eye Brave as much. So it can do a lot of work for people like Vayne, for instance. But again, she's not needed because of all the options that you guys have. Selphie does have Eye Brave aura, but she doesn't have large Brave regen as much as Rosa does. As for Agrius, her damage has fallen off a lot. Her EX is really slow, so I would definitely not invest any ingots into Agrius right now. And for Barret, I think his damage is on the low side. He does have good auras. He has good attack, like Brave aura. But his damage is on the low side and he doesn't batter your party. He doesn't heal your party. So filling that support role is going to be really tough for Barret. So I would rank all these on the low priority right now. I wouldn't invest in this banner at all. So that's my thoughts on the current banner, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if this video helped you out. Which units are you planning to pull on? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.